So what?
Okay, so we're not even gonna like have some jabber going on or anything. We're just gonna jump right into this.
It's because I pressed the play button. Record button, actually. It's not the play button. You pressed the play button. I pressed the record button.
See, this is why I can't put you in charge.
Dude!
Really? That was bad.
It was really bad. Don't worry, we'll get it on the next episode.
Oh, it made. What's the nickname?
Cooler.
Coolero. He doesn't even know his own. Oh my God, Coolero.
We have to write that down. Coolero.
See,
Coolero.
A couple of times back when you weren't here, Coolero, we couldn't remember Coolero.
Pésame, Coolero. This is a song.
Yeah, it's actually Coolo.
Yeah, it is. No, there's me ad-libbing again. Ad-lib.
It's not Cujo.
No, it's not Cujo. Okay, so as you saw from the title, we are talking about Title 230 or whatever, Section 230.
Section 230 of the title code.
Yeah, the title
Article.
code.
That's what it said on the other thing.
Yeah, so the Supreme Court this coming week is going to take a look at Section 230, which Congress passed in 1996 in one of those stupid named thing, Good Samaritan
laws or whatever, yeah.
Whatever. I mean, what the rats do, what the politicians do. So, and they did it allegedly to protect websites, social sites especially, that are basically essentially billboard sites, allowing people to come in, say what they want, put up whatever they want, and then the companies themselves would not be liable for what was put up because they didn't put it up. It wasn't their content.
That's right. So anything that was their content, or at least this is from my understanding of the section itself, is that anything that is not their own created content, they would not be held accountable for if, say, anything actionable came from it.
Mm-hmm. But the problem that we've had, and even Coolero in Yonder 40 has had whatever, is that they got, while getting these protections, they were also getting protected for actual censorship.
Being the editors, essentially.
Yeah, so they were no longer a billboard, because billboards are just billboards.
Yep. You just paste whatever you want on there, and it's done.
Yeah, and you take it down yourself or whatever. But they were censoring content, mostly conservative content, because the owners of the social media sites, as we all know, are furry little rat bastards. Did I say that properly?
No, you didn't. Say it with more feeling.
Furry little rat bastards.
Ooh.
Thank you.
I felt the emotion.
AKA leftists.
AKA the furry leftists.
Yes.
All right, now, by the way, let's go ahead and preface this. If you're new to the channel, you haven't seen the channel, we are 100% about freedom of speech. I know, right? Can you believe it? Subscribe! We're 100% about freedom of speech, and all that good stuff. So just because we put an emphasis on the fact that conservative people were being shadow banned and all these other things, actually, we feel the same if liberals would.
We would.
Everybody has the right to this speech. But what we're talking about is the action of actively censoring and we're actively editing which posts were allowed to be up on the billboard, which then turns it from being a billboard site to being a discussion board site or an edited board site where content is controlled.
That was actually kind of eloquent.
Thank you. I've been practicing in the mirror.
Heaven forbid. I am certainly glad I'm not there for that. Okay, so I think for me to start, because we don't talk about these before we get on here. It's just like, I tell Damon, here's the subject, and he's like, okay, good, let's go.
I prefer it that way. I like it a lot. I think I think that you guys let us know. I think that our initial reaction is always the best reaction. Because a lot of times you don't get a lot of the really fun and really nitty gritty stuff that we say when we're talking about these videos beforehand.
That's laced with expletives.
Yes. Like fuck, shit, piss, dick, pussy, ass, and things like that.
Yes, like that. Thank you, George Carlin.
No problem.
Okay, so all right. So for me, I think the best way to start is what would an ideal society look like? What would these social media sites legally be able to do? Because in a free society, and by the way, we did write a new constitution. Look on the DudeReally site for the new brand spanking new U.S. Constitution that is based on individual rights. It's completely pristine.
Foundation of freedom, people.
Yeah. So with that in mind, we have rights. And just because, that means over property, body, and money in our actions. Well, business is property and money and actions and bodies moving around and everything. So businesses are essentially private property expanded into the business community. So businesses should have, the owners of businesses should have the same rights as individual citizens inside their own homes. Because that said, they've got free speech. And that said, they can invite anybody into their homes that they want to. So for me, ideally, these social media companies would, in the ideal society, be able to say what they want, allow anybody on that they want, kick anybody off that they want.
Yes, completely agree.
So conservatives who are saying, no, they can't censor, that's wrong. That's wrong for conservatives, or if liberals, lefties say that.
I mean, it's fairly shared that the only time that they scream that they can't censor is whenever they're being censored. You know, so it's always good if it happens to that guy, but it's never good when it happens to me.
Yeah.
Basically.
So that's the ideal. Now, my problem
With 230.
Yeah, with 230 is that they protected one thing and made it to where they could billboard, but then they said they didn't do anything about the censorship. I mean, it's just like, if it's not consistent.
It's double dipping essentially.
Yeah, Culero, you got an opinion on this? I know you do.
Yeah. Well, my view is that if they have a right to censor whoever they want to. But if they do that, then they're not acting as a billboard and therefore not entitled to Section 230 protections.
That's the thing.
And so if somebody wants to sue them for something that was
Slander, libel.
Slander, libel, anything on the site, then they should just have to be able to show that the company is acting as an editor, that they're editorializing the content, censoring particular viewpoints, for example. And in so doing, the company's not entitled to Section 230 protections.
Okay, so do you think that the Supreme Court ought to just overturn 230 and just let the marketplace take care of it and let the courts take care of it? I mean, what's your feeling?
No, I think 230 is valuable. I haven't read the text of it, so I'm not really sure. Do you know exactly what are the criteria
Here it is.
which it applies?
Yeah, here's what it says. Okay, this is the key phrase that the Supreme Court's going to look at. That's 26 words. No provider or user of an interactive computer service shall be treated as the publisher or speaker of any information provided by another information content provider. In other words, by somebody who comes on there and provides the content, the social media company is not responsible for that.
Yeah, and then also whatever users are partaking of the content. So, like, say Dax and Culero, they made let's say I posted something, so I am the poster on this billboard. Dax is the owner of the website where I put it, and Culero is the one reading it. Well, Culero can't be prosecuted for reading or partaking of the content, whatever it is, and Dax could not be prosecuted for me putting the content there. I would be the only one who would be liable and possibly be prosecuted. That's what that protects.
Well, and in an ideal society, that's great.
Yes.
Culero's issue is that they're giving protection for this as a billboard, but they're
also deciding, also content editing as well.
Yeah.
So for instance, which
it's like these guys are parading. They're parading as billboards.
Yes.
But they're not billboards.
But they're not billboards. They don't count as billboards.
And that's your point.
They count as private sites.
Yeah. So, but in an ideal society, they should be able to do both. It's just that this law makes it to where they're completely protected from being a content provider.
Yeah, held liable for it.
Yeah. So if somebody does come on there and it's clear that this person is, let's say, promoting coercive action against other people,
like the Ayatollah of Iran, or a lot of the feminists, third wave feminists, kill all men, all that great stuff, Antifa.
And then let's say Twitter or Facebook or Google is told about this but doesn't take it down. For me, in an ideal society, if it can be proved that they know about this and they're providing this content out there that's coercive and they don't take it down, then to me they're liable. So that's the way. I think in a free society, I think that's what it would be.
Yeah, because then they wouldn't be a billboard, so this protection wouldn't be.
Yes.
But if they were a billboard, and literally anything that anybody said was free speech, then.
Well, I think that comes into question in a free society. I think that comes into question if the billboard, if the people who own it know that it's there. I mean, at what point do they become accessories, aiding and abetting? I mean, all right. So here's something I thought about right before y'all arrived today. Before the internet, a business decides to put this giant billboard, 100 yards long, 100 meters for you stupid people in Europe, and 90 meters for you stupid people in Europe.
I have no idea.
So 100 yards long. It's right by the street. It's 10 feet high, and they allow people to come by and just paste or thumbtack some notes on there, some advertisements on there. There's tens of thousands of them, 100,000 of them, whatever. The company doesn't pay attention or anything else. Somebody comes on there and it's a pedophile, and they're like, okay, we've got pictures of kids and access to kids. Here's the phone number. This is how you get a hold of us. Is the company liable for that?
No.
This is my point with billboards. With billboards, it's virtually impossible to know everything that's on the billboard in a company nowadays in social media. So it's almost, unless it gets flagged by somebody, it's almost impossible for them to know. So for me, in a free society, the owner of that company where the 100-yard billboard is not liable for the content that this pedophile puts on there.
But if they've got somebody standing there at the billboard, and if they're screening
The company?
everything that it's a company, and if they're screening things that get up
And they see it.
but they allow certain things on but not others. So like let's say that they don't allow this pedophilia information, which actually they've been allowing, but whatever. If they don't allow this, if they're going through and screening it, then the protections shouldn't apply.
I agree. But what if that person, that security guard or whatever, sees somebody walk up with a MAGA hat and put a Post-it note on there just for an advertisement, and then that person goes over and takes the note off right as that person walks off?
Well, that's a private company.
Yeah, this is my point.
That's a private company argument.
Yeah, I agree with you. And this is my point on nowadays. That a company does have that right to do that. And for me, I think they ought to get rid of 230. Just make it to where the courts make a decision on whether a company is actually cognizant of coercive stuff on their site. And they can censor. I mean,
companies can censor. So the argument with the 230 is the fact that if you act as a billboard, then you cannot censor.
But no social media company right now is acting like a billboard.
Well, then that's why the protection. That's why they're looking at changing the verbiage of the protection more than likely.
Well, I don't think they ought to change the verbiage. I think they ought to get rid of it. I think they ought to overturn it. Culero, what do you think?
I think the protection is useful for companies that are truly acting like a billboard. So they shouldn't be censoring content. They should only be moderating things that actually violate the law. So if pedophilia, that violates the law. And certainly they can't necessarily have somebody that's going to review all the content, but they do apply AI to go and see things that are posted on there. So they're able, and people can flag content and get that.
But isn't it
moderators to look at that?
But isn't it best for the government just to get the federal government to just get out of the way and let the courts make the decision on this stuff?
Well, the courts have to make a decision based on law, though.
Free speech. It's free speech.
Well, you don't have a free speech though to
private property then. To coerce.
To coerce. To threaten.
Okay, so so can't the courts make that decision? Whether it's coercive or attempted coercive activity?
Sure, but I think the question is does a company, a social media company, have the right and the obligation to take down content that does violate the law in such fashions? I
personally would like. I don't want the protection to be taken away, simply because.
So you agree with him?
Well, I don't want it to be as possible. I think I don't want the protection to be taken away because I want the incentivization for the company to be able to apply their billboard status or keep their billboard status up in its purest form. So without moderating the content that goes onto it.
But
so if you take it away, then somebody could post some content on there, and then the company would be liable.
But the only where that draws the line is that if they choose the billboard status, then the protections of any type of editing or decision on what content gets placed on there, then they are no longer protected by this law. So as soon as they even start choosing what users put content on there, they are no longer protected. So I'm thinking about the guy at Craigslist. As a matter of fact, what happened to him, where he was prosecuted because of what people were putting on there. He should have been protected by this law, but he was not. He was prosecuted.
Okay. All right. So I disagree with them. I think this. I hope the Supreme Court overthrows this and it gets thrown into the courts, because I think, frankly, the courts seem to be more objective, especially in the appeals process, on free speech than the government, especially current governments, making a decision on what should and should not be protected. And I think what's happened with this law is it's made it to where billboard companies are no longer billboard companies, and they're protected all around.
Oh yeah, absolutely. In its entirety, it should be abolished. If what I just said, if the protection of the private company or whatever they are, then no law should exist for the protection.
Okay.
So it should be taken away, so that there's just like qualified immunity or something like that. It should not exist any longer.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Yes.
Thank you. All right. Later, y'all.